Hey, what's up, everybody? It's BDF44 coming at you with another video. So, now that we got Drummond here, he's a Laker. Are we just gonna let him walk? See, this is the problem with getting Runyer Reynolds. You start trying to, in your mind, figure out how it could be possible to keep these players past this season. Like a guy like Andre Drummond is not the he's not the type of player that you want on a rental. You want him on your team for more than 1 year, more than half a season at that. We want to start the season with him as our center. So how do we do that? That's the question. How do we make that possible without depleting assets that we like and that we want to keep? I don't know that we can afford to keep Drummond, but it's probably going to come down to, would you rather have Schroeder or Drummond? All right, it's going to be that for us. Either you're going to pay Dennis Schroeder, because from what I understand, Dennis Schroeder turned down an $84 million 4-year deal, from what I understand. If that is the case, chances are we're not going to be able to keep him anyway. Now, that's not going to be able to get you Andre Drummond, not by any stretch of the imagination. But if you shave off maybe one or two of those, I don't know what's going on there. But if you shave off one or two of those years, maybe you can kind of squeeze Drummond into a 1-1 or something like that. That's what we're hopeful for. So I don't know if this means we automatically lose Schroeder. Maybe championships kind of make people feel differently about, how they want to move about their careers going forward. Maybe they taste that champagne shower and realize, this is worth a couple million. Let me go ahead and swallow that and just stay with the Lakers. Try to see if I can do this again. But I'm just looking at pictures of Drummond in practice, listening to what people are saying, reading Vogel's quote. He said Drummond had like 1 million steals in one practice because of how great his hands are and how well he plays passing lanes and things of that nature. So I think for me, one thing that I'm learning, like you think you know somebody's game, but you really don't see them unless you actually watch them play. But the one thing that I did get a chance to see that was new for me is just how fantastic he pushes people out of the way. Now, that seems redundant in terms of me making 5 and 6 videos telling you how great of a banger he is, how well he plays in the post, how well he pushes people around. But I think for me is learning how he does it. Like you know it's being done, but how it looks when that particular person does it is an entirely different thing. And just watching his highlights, he really does push humans out of the way. He pushes humans out of the way. He doesn't get off the floor as high as I thought he did. A lot of his scores are like scoop layups, scoop shots. Of course, he dunks the ball, but he's not a high fly act like for some reason I thought he was. For some reason I thought he got off the floor higher than he did in any of them highlights. He's not an Aaron Gordon. He's not a who's a center that's bouncy? DeAndre Jordan in his prime, that kind of thing. He doesn't have those quick twitch jump muscles, but what he does have is excellent size, excellent timing, as I said, ridiculous motor, and just a real good overall control of his body. He has good footwork, good hands. He's a massive body that moves very, very well. He can run like the wind. He has tree trunks for legs. And he's not slow by any stretch of the imagination. He really, really runs very fast for his size and moves laterally very quickly for his size, which is rare. This dude literally has the greatest rebounding percentage in the history of the sport. Quite honestly, he's just 1% hair higher than Dennis Rodman at this stage in his career. He's averaged 13 rebounds for his career. I can't think of anybody that's rebounded that much, not named Wilt, on a consistent basis. We just picked up a monster, and it's one of those situations where I sit here and I say, I don't want to see him leave at the end of the season. Who do we have to give up to assure that we keep our big fella? And that's where I'm at. It's like, okay, Kuzma's $40 million. I love what Kuzma's bringing to this team. But once we get Drummond in here, I can totally see us saying, yeah, no, I'd rather have Drummond. Schroeder, same thing. Now that he's here, you'd rather have Drummond. Trez, maybe even the same thing. Now that he's here, you'd rather have Drummond. But the thing about Trez and Drummond is that you want to keep them both together because they are both two of the most prolific rebounders in all of basketball. You got them both on the same team, and they're not in the same lineups with one another. So that means when one sits down, the other one steps up, and that is too much. It's simply too much to deal with. So for me, our identity has been established as a big team once again, a loaded, big-sized team that only a few teams in the league could probably match up with size-wise. And none of those teams is named the Brooklyn Nets, mind you. So for me, it's just going to be about how we work the cap to keep Drummond. Letting him walk is no longer something that I'm willing to do. You know, and I'm gonna in the spirit of full disclosure, I was prepared to be disappointed. And I think I may have already said this, but I was really prepared for him not to come here. I truly thought he was going to go back east, play for his home state team. I didn't think he would come here. The Brooklyn Nets need defense. He would have been immediately their anchor on the defensive end and would have hid a lot of their defensive problems and ultimately single-handedly turned their defense from horrible to at least competent. He's exactly what they needed. And he's from that state again, Brooklyn. He's from New York. I'm not sure what part of New York. But, yeah, sure enough, he said, no, I'm going west. My dream is to play with LeBron James. I said that when I was a kid, and it's still the same. He knows how it is to be a center as a Los Angeles Laker. It's a massive deal to win a championship as a center as a Los Angeles Laker. He knows that his numbers are comparable to some of our great centers, especially at the rebounding position. He knows he's in that conversation. And he doesn't get that recognition because he's played for the Detroit Pistons and the Cleveland Cavaliers, and nobody watches those two teams in these eras, in the era that he's played in. So I think the whole world is going to get a chance to get to know Andre Drummond in a way that most of us didn't. Now, I know that some Detroit Pistons fans have been sounding off, letting Laker Nation know that we're not getting a perfect player or a perfect center. And as I've said to you guys on 100 occasions at this point, that Andre Drummond does bring problems with him as well as strengths and solutions and dominance. He also brings some problems with him. So, you know, he may only be really good at rebounding and scoring the ball or defense as well, but he may not be the greatest passer. He may not be somebody who takes the greatest shot. Sometimes he may do some wacky stuff that you'd be like, Dre, that was not high IQ stuff. So, you know, we're gonna have to be patient with him. He's not the most skilled big. He's not Joel Embiid. He's not Jokic. He's not, you know, his basketball IQ isn't of that caliber. But what he does best, he does better than anybody. And you'll take the good that comes with that. You know, you take the good with the bad. And two, it's more than understood that we don't need him to be Joel Embiid. Why? Because we literally have Anthony Davis. We literally have one of the greatest skills bigs the game has ever seen. So all we need Dre to do is be exactly who Dre is. Dominate, bang, push people out the way, get bigs and anybody else who's active in foul trouble, and don't be a liability at the line, which is going to be key because he's a historically horrible free throw shooter, particularly down the stretch. So it may be wise for us, especially in playoff situations, to keep that in mind during the stretch of games, down the stretch of games, you know. Because you don't want to find yourself with 1 minute on the clock. You're down by 3 and he's at the line. You don't want that situation. But it's going to be hard to keep him off the floor because how dominant he is in that same breath. Who knows? He has improved as a free throw shooter since he came into the league. He's not nearly as horrible as he used to be. And, you know, I think that he's playing for something. And we have some guys here that will kind of, you know, help him along, pull his coattail if he gets out of line in any way, shape, or form, basketball-wise. I don't think he would off the court. That's not what I'm referring to at all. But I'm talking about just like if he takes a bad three or turns the ball over in some wacky way or does something that we are not really pleased with. We have the right type of people on the team that will pull him to the side and ask him to kind of tighten up, man. And that's ultimately what is needed because he's still a young center. Believe it or not, Andre Drummond is 27 years old and he's never won. So yeah, he's got some things he's going to learn in this circumstance. He's coming here one way. I can guarantee you, when this season's over, he's going to be a better player. I think that just from playing with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, even for playoffs, even for just a playoffs, you are going to gain some experience that you would have never gotten in Detroit or in Cleveland. So I think Andre Drummond has got his best days ahead of him. Now that he plays for the Purple and Gold, I think we're going to see the best of him going forward, and that's kind of scary if you think about it. So yeah, that's what I got to say, man. Super excited about having Andre on this team. I didn't actually think it would happen, but here we are, and now I'm just trying to figure out how Rob is going to figure out how to keep him. That's the equation. How do you make sure that Andre Drummond is not a one and done with the Lakers? My name is BDF44. Thank you guys for watching.